Pew pew. See that as me trying to radiate happiness into all of you today. Thanks. Good morning. Okay, so first things first, I'd like to take a quick second to thank all of the coaches I've had here at Brooks. Mainly my head coaches, Coach Foley, Coach Campbell, and Coach Hitchler, as they are like fathers to me, so much that I've called each one of them Dad. Coach Foley, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to come here. I wish it could have been a longer tenure, but I understand why I was not the best candidate the first time around. Coach Hitchler, as much as I said I hated wrestling, I grew greatly passionate for the sport. And honestly, it was one of the most meaningful team experiences I've had in my life. Also, yes, winning a match is the single greatest feeling. Luckily, I managed to do that a lot more this year. Not to flex or anything, but 28 wins, but like whatever. Sorry. Coach Campbell, thank you not only for putting me on the varsity baseball team and fixing my mindset in the batter's box, but also for what you've done for me outside of school, especially in regards to college. Especially taking a day out of the office and driving 5 hours to take me all the way up to Waterville, Maine. Now that I've thanked you all, please don't hate me after the speech. Mr. Packard's not here, ironic, so I guess you guys can clap after this one. Thank you. I know what you're all thinking when I stood up here. Wow, thank God his beard grew back, because that mustache was not it, Chief. Yep. Thank you. Yep, thank you. Okay, I get it. Thank you. No, I know what you're actually thinking. What is this brick that got a 57, yes, a 57, in math his junior year going to teach me about high school? I don't want advice from him. Well, yeah, I wouldn't want academic advice from me either. So I'm not going to come up here and talk about academics or even my high school career, because as much as I love Brooks, I really haven't been here long enough to give you all the secrets to succeeding here anyway. And most people come up here and talk about their transformations over 4 years, but I've only been here for 2 years and wanted to venture from the norm of transformation. Despite the short tenure, I'd like to say thanks to all of you, especially those of you that I've grown so close to, and my dorm mates, Whitney Gang, best dorm on campus. And as much as I'd bad talk academics, I'd like to say thank you to all of my teachers, because without a complete 180-degree turn of my grades, I wouldn't have a future. And since I'm not going to talk about transformations, I'm going to do what all other athletes do and talk about sports, because that's not stereotypical at all. I've played sports my whole life, starting with baseball, then basketball, then football, and picking up shot put and wrestling along the way. Sports have changed my life more than anything in this world, and sports have always been what's defined me. Ever since I was young, I lived by my own motto, athletics over academics. Please don't live that way. Do your homework. I feel like I'm pretty athletic and rather good at sports for a kid that is so fat and so immobile. That's a direct quote from Noah Kamen during a game of spike ball. But through sports, I've overcome my size. It's hard for someone to make fun of your size and athletic ability if you're a better athlete than they are. You can take anybody's chirps and throw them right back at them, something I've gotten pretty good at. As Mr. McVeigh very adequately pointed out the other day when I showed him this speech, just for the record, he hated the first version of this. He realized that I use humor to defend myself, saying, "You're always in on the joke by making fun of yourself," which I've done already in this speech and will do again throughout the speech. And this was an important realization that I came to about myself. I guess that's what advisors are for. However, being stubborn, I kept the majority of the speech the same, because sports really are my whole life, and sports have taken me further in this world than anything. I would not be at Brooks if it weren't for sports. I would not be going to Colby if it weren't for sports. So I'd like to thank sports for keeping me on track. Now, my illustrious sports career. I'm sure all of you knew that I played sports before I got up on stage today. You've probably seen me sporting team gear or spending too much time in the athletic center. However, many of you have probably never seen me play, since on average 0 people attend our football games, which I can't blame you, as they weren't that exciting unless you wanted to see teams like Govs put up 40 on us. My high school sports career didn't go exactly as planned. Mainly, it was a little longer than expected, filled with many ups and downs, but every part of my sports career has shaped me literally and figuratively to become the person I am today. There's important lessons to be learned in sports, mainly hard work and sportsmanship. I'm really good at the hard work part, but to be honest, I'm not the best sportsman out there. Through sports, I learned there's no time for days off, from hitting balls in the cage on Easter to practicing on Heads holidays, just endlessly running circles in the wrestling room by myself to keep my weight down, to having Hitchler teach me a sit-in carry, a move from the bottom position, literally 20 minutes after I finished my last match and we got back to our hotel in Connecticut while I was half naked and sweaty after wrestling 3 matches that day. But hey, that singular move brought me from the 11th seed to place 5th at New England's and qualify for national preps, something that I only joked about for the duration of the season because I really didn't think I had the skills to do it, especially after my terrible finish at the ISL tournament, which led me to be a really sad boy for the whole week leading up to New England's. Yes, I'm a very sore loser, which leads right into sportsmanship. I've been told by coaches, bring him to the ground, pick him up, and do it again, or play as hard as you can from the beginning of the play to the whistle. Well, that's what a good sportsman would do. I personally have never picked up opposing players. Instead, I usually have stepped on kids that are on the ground, and I tend to hit kids after the whistle. We got a cute little video of that. Yeah, it's bad. Oh, yeah. So as you follow number 72, the real fat kid, running down the field. He blows a kid up after the play. Yeah. Yeah. So the sport that I do that has sportsmanship pretty much built into it is wrestling. First, I 100% did not intend to wrestle. There's nothing about touching other large, aggressively sweaty men while wearing tight clothing that gets me excited. Unless, of course, it's Andrew. But, also, I really like basketball. But wrestling has a lot to do with sportsmanship. In wrestling, you shake your opponent's hand before the match and after, as well as the opposing coach's hand after the match. This shows mutual respect. However, I personally choose to show blatant disrespect by saying wildly inappropriate or disgraceful things to my opponent. That we'll get into later. If you've ever asked me what sport I do, you've probably been subject to me holding out my hand and saying, Anthony Burnett, captain of the baseball, wrestling, or football team. Why do I do this? Well, mainly because I like to brag. But also, I'm truly blessed and honored to be a tri-varsity captain. Not only because, that's dumb clout, but also it means that my teammates, coaches, and our athletic department thought that I would be a good choice to represent Brooks. And I'm very proud of that. However, I think they made a huge mistake. You might think, kid was an ISL all-star in football and is going to Colby to play football. So you got to sneak in those weird brags everywhere. He should at least be qualified through skill to captain the football team. I'd say, thanks, I'm filthy, right? You saw that. I'd murder kids. But it's not that I'm not good at these sports or that I'm not a good leader. I'd argue that I'm decent at all three. Actually, I kind of suck at baseball. I just won that one by default. But I'm a great leader when it comes to motivation and setting good examples, unlike some of my co-captains. Strike one, Mr. Fritz. However, sometimes the way I act and the things I say on the field or mat are not always the most appropriate. They range from jokes like telling the NMH heavyweight that he has a strong neck and I like that. To saying some very harsh things to opposing players that Mrs. Crumb Burbank would burst into flames if she heard. I can promise what I say is much worse than warm the buses. For a kid that doesn't typically swear a lot, I've said some things on the field, in reality, none of which could be said in this chapel. Things that I'm sure my fellow linemen, Andrew, Fuji, Kozlo, and Olu could attest to. There's also the excessive celebrating of me yelling and lifting Ben Gill on the football field, or my signature flex after wrestling matches that actually caused us to lose a team point this year. Me chirping opposing pitchers and first basemen as the greatest and simultaneously most annoying first base coach in the ISL. And there was also this huge 15-yard penalty for unnecessary roughness, the first personal foul I received in my career. Oh, poor kid. Poor kid. But I told the kid, it's football, get over it. I also accidentally created a rivalry in wrestling with the Lawrence Academy heavyweight, Meeching Eric Liu, by beating him and swearing at him a little bit in our first match of our 3-match rivalry that spanned 2 years, to pinning him and him trying to fight me the second time, and our last encounter this year, where I not only called him various things, but proceeded to pin him in a rather unconventional manner. Yeah. So that happened, yeah. Nate's caption to this video is a lot cleaner than the caption I put on my story. But I also have this problem with me getting a little too cocky as well. This is a story that Coach Campbell will never let me forget. I was pitching against PA last year, and I threw my first pitch for a strike, and I proceeded to say, yeah, all day to myself. I then proceeded to have Tristan Latham and Travis Lane come up and hit absolute shots against me. There's a reason that was my last pitching appearance of last season. There's also this amazing video of me destroying a freshman and standing over him like I was good or something, but the kid is literally like 4 foot nothing. Yeah. And the thing I'm definitely the least proud of was me, Ben Gill, and Fuji's relationship with football refs and how we all almost got thrown out of the Gov game. So this ref got undeniably handsy with me and was yelling about touching people after the whistle. But as an offensive lineman, I'll do whatever it takes to protect my teammates. Yeah. I mean, that's what happens, though. I mean, I know it may seem like I just wanted to come up here and show my highlights and brag, but I just thought they were too funny not to share. And in complete humbleness, it's even funnier the other way around, because every now and again, it happens to yours truly, and it's funny. Like, way funnier than me actually destroying little kids is little kids destroying me. That's just tough, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that one hurts the ego. Like, that kid is literally 5'8", 150 pounds, and I went down like a sack of bricks. But I know many of you have not seen this side of me, this, terrible person on the field. And I know that most people think very highly of me, and that's the reason some people didn't want me to give this speech. That being said, I hope you don't think I'm some horrible person. I hope you just see me as a passionate athlete with a chip on his shoulder. But there's meaning behind this talk. This is not the leader I want to be, nor the leader I should be, nor the leader anyone should be. I know that going forward, I'm going to have to change these habits. For all of the athletes listening to this talk, don't be like me. Play hard, like really hard, 110% every play, but play clean. Accumulating penalties is no fun, and it hurts the team. Don't be the kid to throw your helmet or stand over a kid you just hit, because it doesn't look good, especially if they're like 4 feet tall. It may look cool in the moment, but it won't look good to your coaches, it won't look good for the program, and it definitely won't look good to college coaches, and it's a bad look for you personally. Don't get into fights, especially not with referees. However, have a personality on the football field. Have fun without being rude about it. I only got through wrestling by smiling at my opponents, calling them cute, or doing weird things and in general clowning around. Don't dread the sports you do. Go out there and make the most of it. As perfect as I am when it comes to, well, everything. And as much as I know all of you want to be like me, don't be like me sportsmanship-wise. And definitely don't be like me academically. Try your hardest, but you'll never have clout like me. And you'll never have, and you'll never captain more sports teams than me, unless they had a 4th season. Thanks.